Welcome to Season 5 of the SARE Ladies podcast. This is where Asian American Pacific Islander women carve out their own space in real estate and shake up the status quo. Join your hosts, Anita Wong and Ashley Cow, as they dive deep into bold strategies, personal growth, and everything it takes to own it. From building wealth to boosting confidence. Let's jump in.
Hey, Ash.
Hey, Anita. Happy almost New Year.
Happy almost New Year. I can't believe it is almost the year end and we're in 2026 now. Oh, where's the year gone?
Crazy. Do you feel like 2025 flew by for you, or was it like, it felt like a long year?
It felt long and short at the same time.
Yeah.
You know, I feel like there's a lot that happened. And I think when we're in the moment of like the thing, I think I'm thinking about like the conference, like that stuff, like the day to day felt really long. But then when it was like kind of over, like, oh my gosh, what just happened? You know?
Yeah, exactly. I think I read somewhere where some people, you feel like the years fly by so fast because a lot of times it's like you have a routine, right? Your daily routine. So if it's the same routine over and over again, things feel like they've gone by really fast because nothing new has happened. And so for me, I feel like this year felt longish, but also very short because I can't believe it's already over. But it feels long because there's so many new things that I experienced this year. And so like there's new memories, new experiences, and so all of that piled together. I'm like, oh my God, it was a long year. But it was a great year. So
it's been a big year for us, I think. And for those of you just joining us, welcome to the podcast. But Ashley and I just attended an awards ceremony, and Ashley and I both won an award. Yeah. And I was like, I feel like I needed to, and I was like, that was a great recap. Ashley won Partner of the Year. I won Commercial Investor of the Year, and we won it together. We have a picture together of us and our mentor, Tony Lynn. And it was just like such a great, like, end of the year cap. And, so we're here today to talk about our 2025 and reflecting back on Season 5. And this is the last episode before we head into a new season. And Ashley, what do you feel like you were proud of, not just personally, but also professionally, like, about 2025?
Man, you mentioned the conference, and so this is the first time running a conference, and so I think that was something that I was proud of, not only professionally but personally too, because it really made me step outside of my comfort zone. And when we first started it, I was like, are we actually doing this? So like, are people gonna come? So it was like a really amazing experience because I think it shows that, one, we can do it with a very lean team. It was you, me, and a couple other people, right? Connie and
our voluntold partners. Yeah.
But and that's also another thing. It was like, it wasn't just us, we had like a community behind us to help us. And if it wasn't for the community and the people that we know and the people that believed in us, I don't think it would have been as successful as I thought it would have been. So
yeah, I think it was more than I thought it would be. And it was great to have someone like Philip Wang and show up as our keynote. And now we have, a great relationship. I mean, someone I know now. And we both did this conference from outside. Like we both live in California. The conference was in Las Vegas. It was no easy feat to kind of do all of those things. I remember in the middle of the planning it, we were like, why does nobody want to sign up? We were like, why won't anybody come to our party?
Yeah. But that was like yes, that was a lesson learned from other conference organizers, was that ticket sales are heavy in the beginning when you launch it, your early bird people. And then there's like the middle point were the lull. And that was when Anita and I were panicking. We're like, oh, how come the ticket sales have stopped?
For
And
like
then
months.
for months. And
Yeah.
I was like, dang, do we have to come out of pocket for all, so. And then towards the end, like, I would say like a month out, people are like, okay, like I know my schedule now, so I can come. Right. And so, yeah, that was a very interesting roller coaster of an experience.
That was wild. Yeah, we have to do it again next year.
Yeah.
Oh,
Now we
FYI, we have
know.
another conference coming up in September of next year. If that was our announcement, it'll be at a different venue, I expect, but we'll let you know, everyone. Okay, well, was there a moment in that last year where you felt like, hey, I've grown, like in maybe the conference or something else that's happened?
Um, I mean, the conference, I think the most of the year was around the conference. And so I think I just grew a lot from just planning each stage of the conference. And so each stage, as we completed each day, I was like, oh my God, we did that. I've grown. Right. And so I think throughout the year, it was just kind of like different stages of growth, of planning, making connections, and just thinking about like what makes a good conference or anti-conference, right? And so, um, yeah. What about you, Anita?
Hmm. Well, I'll definitely say so. I had my second kid this year and been able to be at the conference, and
By the way,
I
you were
know,
pregnant the whole entire time.
right? So I think there was a lot of I've grown in that moment, and it in the middle, I was like in September, was last September of last year, um, purchased our first Class A property, and
Mhm.
it definitely in itself had like an I've grown moment because it's not easy to buy a new asset, and I'm definitely really happy that we're moving forward, right? And so our first purchase was like a Class C, older asset, and now we've kind of moved into the newer class, and it's a very different learning lesson, but it was really great. And also, I was able to step on stage for the Old Capitol conference, which was something that I've dreamed of doing for a while now. And so I'm just really grateful for that to happen and to be. I think I was the only woman that was speaking that year, but
Mhm.
and so I think there was like a moment of like, oh, it, I think that it's like I'm in the boys' club. I think
Yeah.
it feels like that. And I've and that was a really great moment for me to kind of feel like to see like, oh, I've grown. I've gone beyond just being one of those lurkers sitting in the audience to to having people hear me speak about my perspective, and that was a big moment for me.
Cool. Yeah. I love that. Yeah. It's still, yeah, I think the commercial real estate side is still very much a boys club, but we're seeing more and more women in it. And so, that I'm a big champion of that. And I know you are too, of just creating more space for women in the commercial real estate space. And so, uh, I'm glad you were there.
Yeah.
And yeah.
I feel like since I mean I don't like I want to toot our own horn, but I definitely feel like since we've been in it, I feel like either like we've just attracted more people either just by talking about this in this space, but I feel like we've seen more and more women that look like us, especially at these
Mhm.
conferences, and you can kind of see them like just kind of pop up here and there.
Yeah.
And so that shows me progress,
Mhm.
and a progress that I never thought that I would see. So
Yeah.
definitely like a we've grown as an industry kind of
Yeah.
moment. Yeah. Yeah. So now that we've recorded so many episodes, 12 episodes of the season, and this is what has been a conversation that has stuck with you longer than expected?
I feel like, I mean, that's a good segue because we're just talking about commercial real estate, but I really enjoyed the conversation with Snowy.
Uh-huh.
She's also a multifamily operator investor. And I think her episode was just a reminder. I think so. I think now in this generation, people want the easy button all the time, right? They want things to be done easy and they don't have to lift and do a lot of work and stuff like that because we have technology or AI or whatever it is. But I think her episode was a reminder that like you just have to go back to the fundamentals of like hard work, dedication, and like, you know, there isn't a perfect time to start your investing journey or whatever you want to start. And so she was just like a really good reminder that like these fundamental things don't depend on technology or anything. It's just like you just go and freaking, even if you're 38 weeks pregnant, you go and like do your work and get it done. And even after she had her baby, she brought her kids to like
4
the
days after she gave birth,
like
guys. Okay.
crazy. It's like,
Yeah.
yeah,
Mhm.
so it's like 4 days after, she goes back to the renovation site to make sure things are on par, and so it's like, I love that. It was just like a good reminder that this is what it's all about. It's like, if you wanna get there, you gotta put in the work. So
Yeah, and this is, like, years like, she was already a stay-at-home mom, right? And she has a
mhm.
very, thick Chinese accent, and she shows up to these conferences with a cheap how. It's like, I feel like I have nothing to complain about when I think of Snowy, you know?
Yeah.
She she showed up first, but, like, with such quiet power,
Mhm,
I think she was definitely one of the first, people that especially when we started going into commercial real estate, that was like, "Oh, wow," like, there are people doing it now, doing it before us, and so I really love that episode too. Um and a conversation I really liked was with Catherine Fan.
mm,
I did not expect that to be, like, such a popular episode with also our fans too, but because, like, it was, like, kind of one of our more creative ones, like, we were talking about how to do credit card hacking, but for real estate investors, and I have relooked at my credit card, like, strategy, like, based on that conversation. I mean, I'm not to that level of, like, like some of the people that really do it as a hobby, but begun to, like, just, like, rethink my points
mhm,
in serving me, right? Or, like, serving, serving a time of need, right? And so I think, one pivot that I made, pretty easily was just, like, using points to spend on emergency travel, like, things that are be like, you need to travel during the holidays, or you have to change this last minute flight. Are you going
mhm.
to be paying money for it, or are you gonna be using points? So I'm like, this is what I use points, because it'll just cause me so much stress and grief to have to pay, like, the X amount that
Right.
in order to, like, shift my flight for whatever emergency. So those are my rainy day funds, rainy
Mhm.
day points. Yeah. So that was a really, really great episodes, and I kinda wanna do more of those in
Yeah.
the next season, like, be a little bit more outside the box with our content, I think.
I agree with that. I think, there's a lot of really interesting people who maybe, like, I know it's a client of mine, but, they've built a business that's not real estate related, but they've bought a lot of real estate because of the business that they've built. They need to buy real estate to offset their taxes and for other, building wealth and legacy and all that stuff. And so it's like, it's really interesting to see how people fold in real estate into their whole financial picture. And so I would love to like talk to more people who are not just like, "Oh, I'm a real estate investor," but like they're doing something else and then they're somehow incorporating real estate into it. I think
Yeah.
that's some interesting stuff. So,
And if you haven't listened to it, I mean, Catherine Fan is a writer for NerdWallet and, The Points Guy, and now she's an investor too, so it's really interesting how like, it's great to hear from people that sit in 2 worlds and how they kind of combine those things, right? So,
mhm.
I love that. I'm a special mention, I also really loved Amanda Hahn's episode as
Oh,
well.
always.
Oh my god, Amanda Hahn is just, like, the most finessed, like, speaker. She's the most finessed, like accountant ever. She's the most interesting accountant possibly to talk to because I think she just
I
explains
agree.
things so well. And I was like, oh, I wrote down so many things. I'm like, this is how I should be explaining things to my investors. This is so much more clear and so much more understandable. But she's a really great strategist. So if you haven't heard that episode, I really highly recommend that you go back and listen to it. So this is your first year as a podcaster. I guess I know you've been on many podcasts before, but now as like the co-host. So what have you kind of learned in this time, or any aha moments that you've had as a podcaster now?
Yeah. So it's so different being a guest versus a host.
Uh-huh.
And so I think, um, I mean, I've learned a lot from you, just how you pull together questions and how you kind of pull together an episode. Um, and asking asking good questions is hard. I feel like.
It's hard.
Yeah. It's
Yeah.
like, you know, because you want to pull out good conversation, right? And so the questions really matter and the flow of questions really matter. And so I'm still learning, but I think that was like the biggest, um I guess, thing that I realized as being a host is like, how do you put together these questions? And I'm still learning that, but I enjoy that now because it makes you really think through like, how do you want the conversation to flow? Um, but I will say one thing is like it's just coming from a place of curiosity at the end of the day. It's like how curious are you? And if you just kind of come from that place, then I think the questions flow a little bit better anyways. So
Yeah. I think after started podcasting, I feel like I've learned why like interviewers, like big interviewers, like famous interviewers are
mhm.
famous, right? It's like why journalists are, like that's like their refined skill is asking
Mhm.
questions. I listen to The Daily every day and
Mhm.
by the New York Times, and it's just like the level of questions that of like reflection and the level of listening and asking is not something that you can get from ChatGPT.
No.
like like we
No.
use ChatGPT. I mean, I think when we started SARE Ladies, that was not a we did not use ChatGPT in the beginning to help formulate questions, but and now we do more heavily, but I think that it's like to ask good questions, you cannot fake. It's
Mhm.
and it's like sort of in the moment and people can hear it, right?
Yeah,
So I think that's always a skill that I think it's an underrated skill.
it is for sure.
It's an
So
underrated skill. Yeah,
mhm.
asking good questions and summarizing things with acuity, like you're really listening. So
Mhm.
I think that's something I'm still working on.
Yeah, I go back to, like, the first few episodes, and that was, like, when I was super nervous, and I'm like, what do I say? How do I follow up to this?" And so like I said, I'm still learning, but it's just, like, it's a new muscle, and
Yes.
I enjoy practicing and doing the reps on this because, like you said, it's an underrated skill that everyone should have.
Yeah, I, like, listen to my own no, I don't. Actually, I don't listen to any of my episodes. I'm sorry, guys. That's my secret. I
I'm the
don't
same
listen
way.
to any of episodes. I know, our good friend Nelson Lin, who's, like, founder of SARE and, also a comedian, and he goes, like, "You need to listen to your episodes in order to, like, you need to practice." I was like, "I can't. I literally can't." It's too much. And I know it's like, it's a good practice, but, like, I already feel like I've, learned a lot about public speaking since doing podcasting, and
Mhm.
a lot of people say, like, "How could I build my public speaking, like, to speak on stages?" Dude, start a podcast.
Yeah.
Nothing will, like, throw you into the fire like doing one of these, and it's also online, and so whatever, it goes into the internet and, it goes into the abyss, but you can keep creating more, and that's sort of the how you get better at things. It's getting the reps in, right? So,
Mhm. Yeah.
yeah. So, Now that you've been not just a co-host of SARE Ladies podcast, but also a co-lead of SARE Ladies, and obviously been building this community for a long time, is there any aha moment of this community that you've learned about it since you've been leading it?
So I think, I guess the word is community, right? And so the the to get like, so if I think back of, even a few years ago, like I feel like I've grown and so much because of the community, because one person may have introduced me to another person that may have opened a door for another opportunity or something like that. And so I wouldn't have gotten to where I am without the community, is how I see it. And so, like, I think back, you mentioned Tony Lynn earlier, which was one of my first mentors. And I know one of your first mentors in the commercial real estate space. And it's like, if I didn't go to one of his meetups back in, what was it, 2018, like, I don't think I would have even thought about commercial real estate. And so, and then he was the one who opened up the door to me meeting Paul Peebles, who is with he, one of the founders of Old Capital. And so, everything is connected and everything happens for a reason, but it has to happen where you have to put yourself out there. And so I'm just grateful to be part of this community and now helping grow and lead this community, because it helps me get to where I'm at. And so we talk about like Philip Wang's Send the Elevator Back. It's the same concept. It's like, you grow and stuff, and then you turn around and you help somebody else do the same thing. So
Yeah, I love that. I think I think we've started on this journey or in helping, in particular, like Asian women to be in this space. I think I've learned a lot, obviously, about behaviors, about like what are those barriers to entry, what are those things that are holding women back, but also like a lot about I think that the things that like the programming that they need in order to step forward, and I think about like now that I'm a parent now, um and just by coincidence, like reaching out, like a lot of people have been resonating with the content that I've been, talking about, because I've been just talking about being a new parent, being super busy. It's like, oh, we need to create programming that is like, just quick turnarounds. Like it has to
Mhm.
be like, because women struggle with getting out of the house in the first place, because it's like it's like a whole orchestra of things that you have to organize in order just to get out of the house. Like if not your personal guilt, right?
Mhm.
Like so even like a 1 day, 2 day, like a 3 day event, like it puts stress on the entire family, which is a lot. So, and it's like every event they go out to, you have to, there's other costs to it. You have to have babysitting costs or asking your in-laws to watch your kids kind of like there's a lot of stuff that goes behind it. And so I think that we've shifted a lot of our programming to be fast, to be just like a quick flight from where our general like investors are, and to make it also like like make it like a good bang for your buck kind of
Mhm.
experience, because it takes a lot of effort for people to get out of the house, and we want to encourage that and make it as easy as possible.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think for the anti-conference, a lot of the women that attended, it was like we were talking about ticket sales. So we're like a month out, and a lot of the women that I've spoke to throughout when we first launched the conference up until, a month before the conference, they're like, "Oh yeah, I figured out my childcare situation, or I figured out this, so I can go now." And
Mhm.
that was like a very common comment from people. It's like, "Oh yeah, I figured it out, so we can go," or "I'm bringing the whole family," or whatever it was. And
Yeah,
so, yeah,
right. Yeah,
yeah.
designing it so that it's like it has it's more flexible that way, right? And
Mhm.
encourages more people to go. And I also remember one of our speakers who was also breastfeeding mom, and
Oh, yeah.
it's like her first time getting out of the house and kind of, picking back up the business ever since having the baby. And we were like just conscious of like, do you need a place to just refrigerate your breast milk? That's like kind of a simple thing. And then she was just like, "Thank you so much." Like,
Yeah.
no other place that has ever asked me to speak has ever asked me these questions, or like
Mhm.
help like guided me to like a place where I can pump in the middle of everything. And it made the decision easy for her to come and speak and build her business and also enrich other people with her knowledge. And so I think that was like a really a really golden moment for us, and the reason why we do these things, right?
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah. Um, so what is a mistake you see people in our community kind of repeatedly make? Like thinking about like investors kind of getting started, or like just, yeah, where do you see the most common problems?
Um, I see it this is one thing I see, and it's because I've done it, and, it is, having shiny object syndrome is what I call it, and so you think you hear of one strategy, like short-term rentals, and then you hear of another strategy like flipping or whatever it is, and you're like, "Oh, that sounds fun. Let's do that." And then you're like, "Oh, that sounds fun. Let's do that." And so you
Mm,
spread yourself thin across too many strategies, and then you realize that, it's like the whole jack of all trades, master of none. And so you spread yourself thin and everything does okay, right? Because your time is split among too many different things. But, I think I learned over time it's like simplify and focus. And so instead of trying to do everything, pick one and just like stick with that and be a master or expert of that and grow that, because that will produce so much more for you versus trying to spread yourself thin because you want to everything sounds lucrative or whatever it is. So,
mhm. Yeah, it's just like the age of real estate, social media. There's just a lot of people bragging, but it's just,
mhm.
and there's so many different ways. It's just a lot of get rich quick schemes that you
Yes.
feel like you can do. But I agree 100%, like, pick a lane. And
Mhm.
I feel the same way about, I get all the time from people that they're, like, they're struggling on picking the market. And they're just here like, "Oh, what about, Tennessee? I heard some great things about that." Or,
Mhm.
what about Las Vegas market? Been, like, I've been analyzing this and that," and they just go through lots and lots of rabbit holes, and they also just string along a lot of brokers and people that are not gonna take you seriously.
Mhm.
It's There's nothing worse than, let's say, a broker that, you get their attention, and then they're like, "Oh, so where do you want to look?" I'm like, "Oh, I think I wanna be somewhere in LA, but also in Austin," and they're like, "Well, you're not gonna be serious." You're just like, "That's those are 2 different planets," you know?
Yeah.
It's just like, if you wanna get someone's attention, you need to give them, like, the neighborhood down to basically the address,
Right.
like, then
Right.
they will give you the good deals, right?
Yeah.
There's
Yeah.
nothing that says that you're not serious, and then you in exploratory mode and just wasting people's time.
Mhm.
So, when I stay with people that are exploring markets, like, yeah, those are all fine and done. I mean, but I would say the best thing to do is find the operator, and the market will choose itself. And that's how I'm mostly playing the Dallas market now as well. And but Dallas market chose me. It was because I resonated with people that already had an in with the market. And like I've said on the podcast before, there's only a few people doing the good deals in any market. And once you find those people, they will already have done all your homework, all of the economics checks, all the basic stuff.
Mhm.
But in order to get a good deal, you have to be on the first, you have to be in the top, like the list of where the good deals go. You gotta get the prime cuts, you know?
Mhm.
And so if you're just a newbie entering a market, you're not gonna be that. So, invest, like, if you're gonna be in a market, go with an operator first and then cement yourself there. Um, Another one is probably people that get discouraged by the
Mhm.
market, or they get burned. They lose $5,000. Maybe they have a contractor that screwed them over, or they took a loss on a deal and then they're just out. But it's an unfortunate thing, but it's real estate rewards participation.
Mhm.
You just have to keep at it. And I know that these things hurt, but it's about how quick you can get up and do it again. So,
Yeah.
obviously, don't play with money that you need. I mean, like, do not play with the money that you need to survive. Like, play with discretionary funds, like, play with the money that you can, um, the gambling money,
Mhm.
right? Um, and so I think those are all, like, those are all things that, that needs to that I think people most commonly get stuck with.
Yeah, I agree. I think it's not gonna be perfect. Your first deal is definitely not gonna be perfect. And so if you go in thinking it's gonna be perfect because you did all your homework and all that stuff, like something always goes wrong. And so like put that into your head is like, something's gonna happen, but there's always a solution. There's always like a way to get out of it. And we talked about horror stories, and like one of my first deals, um, one side of the duplex caught on fire. It's like the thing that you worry about the
Mm.
most. And so it's like, that was my first deal. It was like 9 months after I bought the deal and the unit caught on fire, and but the solution was with insurance. You get insurance and it covers you. And so even though it's not hard work, but it's just work. It's tedious work that you have to get through in order to solve the problem. And so
Yeah.
I think, you know,
But
that's
I think
literally what
that
we do is solving problems every day. So
I think that's a big thing for women especially, or I mean, I think that they don't believe in themselves enough that they'll fix the problem in the middle of it,
Mhm.
and, you have to believe in that. Yeah, and I also think, that if it's, like, 60% good enough, you should just jump in and do the thing.
Mhm.
That's the common trait of all successful real estate investors, and really in general entrepreneurs, is that they just have 60% of the information, and that's good enough, and they'll figure out the rest.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah. So, I know that you kinda mentioned it already, but what's a mistake that you see yourself making over and over, and how are you actively working on growing out of it?
Um, I guess it's kinda similar to what I mentioned earlier is, um, I tend to take on too much. And so as an example of this year, I'm running my own business, like I'm building my own business, running my own portfolio. And then we're like, yeah, let's do a conference on top of that. Right. And so, I think I don't say it's a mistake, but it's just something that I think I do because I want to continue to grow and learn. And so, but I have to, before I can take on something more, I think I'm learning more that I was like, before I take it on, let's do like an audit of my time and sanity to
Mhm.
see like, does this make sense? Do I have space to take this on? Or like what else can I reduce time in before I take something else on? And so it's just like before I used to take everything on and stretch myself and spend long nights and all that stuff, and I still do that, but now I'm being more intentional about what I take on, and making sure that I make time for it, that so that I can deliver appropriately, I guess you can say. So
Yeah. I love that. Yeah. I feel like it's always a constant lesson about reassessing your priorities and what you have time for, what you don't. My gosh. Yeah, tell me about it.
what about you, Anita?
Well, I feel like I'm in, like, you're, like, catching me in, like, the moment of, like, I'm 6 weeks postpartum, and getting my ass handed to me by a toddler. I think that is like that is the reality of it's like we are. I think I feel like with a new change like this, it's always like a reassessment of what is important to me and what isn't. And I feel I put on my goals list this year is I want to offload something that doesn't bring me joy every quarter,
Love that.
and hire out for it. It's like the rule is to fire yourself
Mm-hmm.
from things, and I I'm firing myself from social media stuff. I think I've already planned that and started hiring some people to help me out with that. And that's just gone, it's just a great stress reliever. And, and during my pregnancy, I fired myself from doing a lot of the financials. And I was like, did not have like two brain cells to rub together to look at numbers. So my husband is kind of doing that now.
Yeah.
And so I think delegation is super important, and in just doing the things that you're good at, things are that you need to do, and because you have humans that can't do anything, but need you, right? So they do need you, and whatever you are taking on or giving your time to someone else that doesn't deserve it, you're taking from them. And I think that's what I feel about parenthood. I think about like, okay, what am I taking something on, and can my kids take the brunt of it? Don't my husband take the brunt of it? Mostly my husband, who will outwardly complain about it. So those things. So what do you think is next? What are you interested in exploring for the next year of SARE Ladies, or even for like the next season of podcasting?
So I think we had a good blend of like tactical conversations, right? We talked about taxes, we talked about wealth, the wealth trifecta with Ashley Burr, and then we also talked about like the mindset of a real estate investor, and specifically like a woman real estate investor. And I think for me personally, I would say that I want to have more conversations with um, ladies who are just doing really well in whatever business, whether it be directly real estate or adjacent real estate stuff, um, and how they're doing it. Because I guess this is a teaser, is that I'm going through the IVF process and also trying to become a mother. And so with that, there's a new chapter that's ahead that a lot of women like yourself have already designed a playbook for. And so I want to just tap into that more, and from in the mind of like a potentially new mother, like how do I make that transition into doing what I do, but also having little kids running around and making space for that and stuff. So
Yeah, and for those of you who don't know Ashley, I mean, she's been going through this IVF process for 3 years now.
yeah, it's been a long time.
A long
So
time.
yeah, I
And
mean, I've been going through egg freezes, and then now we're at the IVF stage, and so yeah.
yeah, and I mean, as a bit of a teaser, I think Ashley's gonna share more about that, because I think it's something that is super important, I think, for people to hear. And Ashley, do you want to tease anything else about
Yeah.
that?
Yeah, I think in the new year we'll do like a full episode, and I'll share a little bit more about my journey. I think Anita and I were just talking earlier about it too, and it's just, I mean, every journey is going to be unique and different for whoever's going through it. But I think that um, uh, just hearing from other people who've gone through it was very um, comforting to me. And so I again, like, I want to be able to share my experience so that maybe it provides a little bit of comfort to somebody who might be in the thick of it, right? Because as I mentioned earlier, I was going through several egg retrievals, and a lot of those egg retrievals were not successful. Like I retrieved no eggs or no viable eggs, and that was really hard. And so there was a lot of ups and downs throughout the whole journey that I think should be shared and should be talked about, because if you don't talk about it, it is a lonely process, and it shouldn't be lonely.
Right. So stick around for the next season for that. But I'm super excited to talk about it. Yeah. Okay. So that's awesome. I would love to kind of talk about more ancillary businesses, and there's so much of the entrepreneurial process that it can be applied from other businesses to real estate investing. I think for me, what has really piqued my curiosity was the conversation I had with Phil and about um, power in the Asian community and where it sits in real estate. I think where I've always been interested with SARE Ladies is to showcase more women doing big deals. And the reason why we do that in the first place is because I think that, like, for like the 101 stuff, like the 101 real estate things, there's a big community of people that are already serving it. Like, we're no bigger pockets. Like, we're like those, like, if you really need to learn about the basic stuff, like, you can go there. But we are here to showcase that women can do it. And I'm so beyond just seeing women doing fix and flips or being realtors and on TV, that I'm just like, I need to see women doing the big stuff and know that we can do it, right? And so I think that question of like where power sits and where it's is something that I'm interested in exploring. And if you missed our conversation with Phil, I think he talks about it in media, right? I mean, he doesn't have anything to do with real estate, but I think that it was really interesting when he was speaking about in the recent decade, like, we've seen a lot more Asian representation in media, and those in Crazy Rich Asians and things like that, right? That have really come up, and those have done well. But there is still no such thing as an Asian or like Asian oriented media company, right? There's no one that is specifically funding or making Asian movies and casting specifically Asian roles. And he was alluding to Tyler Perry, who has built an entire media empire like around the African American experience, and Asian people have not yet done that. And so power really has not sit in um is not really in our hands yet,
Mhm.
right? Even though we've been successful at several things. And I can say that's probably the same for the Asian community as well. Like, Asian communities, like Asian people earn above the median income, right? We are very forward about investing in real estate. Are we trend higher than other communities in buying homes, right? Buying
Mhm.
primary homes, right? And however, we are just largely not represented where it matters, where um, in the realms of institutional money, right? And I just kind of want to explore that
I love
about
that.
it's it has like something very much to do with that, model minoritiness, right?
Mhm.
It's
Mhm.
like we are, the star student, but we're not enough that we are holding those positions of power. And so I'm interested in exploring that, I think, in the new season about why that is. Yeah.
Cool. Yeah, I love that. I think it's also, there's a lot of people. I I feel like they're just not, we just don't know them, right? Or we haven't heard about them. And so it's like, why is it? I'm curious why it is like that. Because I think there's a lot of people who are very successful and who have that power. It's just that nobody knows that they have that power. So,
Hmm. Yeah. Isn't that like such the thing? Like, that's such an Asian trait, quiet
mhm.
power.
Yeah, it's crazy. So,
Yeah. Okay. So what about your 2026 goals? How are you rethinking your goals for the next year?
um, I think the theme for 2026 is simplicity is really what I'm striving towards. And I talked about it earlier. Is like, um, how do I focus on the, the highest and best use of my time, right? And
Mhm.
so, like, how do I make sure that I'm focused on that rather than trying to pull myself in too many directions? And, you kind of talked about it earlier where it's like delegate to elevate is like the theme, right? So it's like simplicity and then you delegate to make it simple. And so I think one of the biggest things that, and maybe we can have like an episode on this, is just like virtual assistants. It's like that has been a huge change for me, is bringing on virtual assistants in my business, and it's freed up so much time for me, to focus on
Mhm.
the things that are more important. And so I'm going to continue on that theme and really just go back to my systems and what I have in place right now and continue to like refine and optimize this system so that it is a well-oiled machine and I don't have to be in the business every day. So,
I love that.
yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I think my theme is, yeah, obviously there's a lot of that delegation, but I think for me it's like the goals. I really have to be actually scared of my goals. Like,
Mhm,
I have to, like, when I read a sentence, it really has to set a shock in me in order to actually make it a goal. It has to, if it lives on my document, it has to kind of scare the shit out of me a little bit, you know?
mhm, mhm,
And the reason being is just like if you're not growing, like if you're not growing, if it's not painful, then you're not growing, right? So if it's not
mhm.
painful, then you're not growing. And so, all of my goals right now have a little bit of like, oh my gosh, that's maybe a little bit. It gives me that wide eyed feeling, and I think that's just like my litmus test.
Yeah. There's
Yeah.
a book that I just recently read. I think it's called The Science of Scaling.
Hmm.
And it talks about goals a lot in that book, and one of the things they talk about the same thing, it's like set a really crazy, scary, goal, and if you do that, then a lot of the things that you do right now will fall off, like, don't matter. I think they talk about it's like your floor raises, and so
Hmm.
your baseline raises, and so, like, a lot of you have to be a new person in order to meet that goal. You can't be the same person that you were, hitting the previous goals. So, I thought that was interesting.
So, what is a hairy, audacious goal that you're exploring, Ashley? Just share a couple.
Um, yeah, so, obviously, I'm a commercial mortgage lender, and so I have some big numbers that I want to hit for 2026. Um, and so it's kind of like, instead of 2xing, I'm trying to 10x, right? And so I think along those lines, that's like crazy to me. I was like, how am I going to do that, right? But it
Hmm.
really makes you think about, what do I need to do in order to get there? Right. And so you reverse engineer that number or whatever it is. Um, and then on just the investing side too, it's the same thing where um, I want to buy um, smaller. So I want to buy like a multifamily property, but not like a 100 unit or anything like that, but maybe like a 30 unit that I would just own maybe with another partner. And so that for me is personally scary because I'm usually buying, smaller deals or I'm investing passively into deals. And so this one would just be kind of the ultimate goal for this one would be to, trade up over time and then eventually just pay off the property and just cash flow on it. And I know that's like not a strategy that people talk about very often, but it's just something that is like it's like, why not have a little bank that serves me money every month.
Love it.
Yeah.
Cool.
So,
Cool.
what about you? Is
Um,
there something specific or a certain goal that you're focused on?
Yeah, I have a few. I'm gonna say I'm still sitting on these. So they're
Okay.
not but I'm still digesting because they are scary, right? So they're scary enough that I'm actually like, okay, I need to digest these a little bit. But a very audacious goal that I have is to endow a scholarship after my father, and I actually haven't had this one for a while already. So I'm planning on this to do this in 2027 to start a scholarship at UC Berkeley and name it after my father, who actually who received a scholarship himself as a refugee from UC Berkeley, and that kind of changed the trajectory of my family. So I want to start another one in his name, and so that's online for 2027. Um, then I want to build $1 million endowed foundation, and so something for to pass down to my kids too as a philanthropy, as a lived value. So starting the gears for that and building a foundation. We're also have a goal of building a family office, and so that would be another thing is like we're kind of passed down to our kids, and a hairy audacious goal I have for at least in values for my daughters is to have them understand capital before college, to see women in power as normal and learn how to recover from pain. And another hairy, audacious goal that I'm interested in exploring is actually world schooling.
Hmm.
So I'm thinking about that. I'm not really sure where it's gonna, end up, but it would be awesome. It's just an awesome thought to, travel the world with my girls and have them learn in different places. So I'm exploring world schooling.
Love
Yeah.
that. That's
Yes.
awesome.
Yeah. Some of them. Yeah, these are some of the hairy audacious goals that for now. And then also, I don't know why this is not as hairy, like as scary as it was, but I wanted to purchase another 200 units. So I don't know why these sound way more scary. I'm like, oh yeah, 200 units, no problem. But maybe this is like a I've grown moment because no 200 units no longer sounds
Right. So
scary.
it should be like 2000, right? Or something like that. That would scare you.
Yeah, it's true, but I'm just like I feel like having too many units is just like, oh man, it's more of an operations game at
Yeah.
that point. It's not that
Yep.
I'm scared to have that many. It's just more like, do I have the systems in place right now? So I'm not also like not really a unit chaser personally. I would be rather chasing a smaller number but well, because I feel I want to be doing like all of my investments really well because I have investors behind me that that I'm responsible for each property, and so I don't want to get too greedy with it. So sometimes I feel like when you're unit chasing or investors are unit chasing, like that's kind of a red flag for me to invest with them because I'm like, okay, well, you're chasing another 2,000 units next year. What about the 101 that I invested with you like last year? Are you still
Mhm.
working on that one? So yeah, I'm conscious of that.
Yeah. I think that's important. I th- so I think it's important because, like you said, it's an operations thing, and so if you're unit chasing too much, then I mean, I see it pretty often too, where the operation starts to lose quality,
Yes.
and people are in trouble now. So it's not a good
Exactly,
thing. So,
exactly. And then, like, communications with your investors begin to fall off, like, you're
mhm.
not accountable to them, and that's not the, kind of investor that I want to be, so, I'm very intentional with the deals that we make. So, cool.
What I'm looking forward to doing a recap in 2026 at the end of 2026 to see like if all these very audacious goals have been met. And I'm actually really interested about this world schooling thing because I always thought that was fascinating. And I think that's the best school that you can go to is go and experience the world and the different cultures and all that stuff. And if you can do
Yeah.
that, like hell yeah.
I know, and I just had a girlfriend who her sister is just starting this journey now, and she's actually traveling the world with her kids, and they're a little bit older. But I was just like, wow, isn't that like such the perfect thing to do if you're a full-time investor that you can afford the time, the flexibility because you've built up all this passive income to potentially do that. And
Mhm.
I mean, my husband comes from higher education, and I feel, and we have a family of people that work in higher ed and in the education world, and I'm just like, oh, it's not looking so hot. You're just like- and they like see how the sausage is made, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that we're exploring this space and seeing if it's possible, and just because we want to, do the best. And I think even Grant got the idea. I mean, Grant Cardone, I think, has like a mixed model for education for his kids too, and like they do like partial like homeschooling and participation in public school. And so there's like, I was like, oh, there's a lot of different options out there.
Yeah.
And if you know about world schooling, please DM me. I would love to hear about this or any of these
We
things.
can do an episode.
I know
on world
about like
schooling.
me just finding this stuff out. That would be great. Okay. Well, actually, we could do an episode about like how people educate based on if they're full-time investors
Yeah,
and those all
that would be a
alternative
really
form of
interesting.
education. If we're kind of
Yeah.
on this like yeah. Cool. All right, some good ideas out here.
Yeah.
All right. Well, thank you for enduring with us with this final episode. And I know that we could just keep going on this forever, but if you listen through you've been listening with us for this whole season. Thank you for sticking with us, and we just hope everyone you have a great new year and a great 2026. Bye, fam.
All right. Thank you.
Thanks for tuning in to this episode of the SARE Ladies podcast. If you enjoyed the conversation, make sure to follow, share, and leave us a review. It helps more women in real estate find this community. And don't forget to connect with us at sareladies.com for more resources, stories, and support on your investing journey. Until next time, keep building, keep learning, and keep breaking barriers.